crazy. You can hear the wind outside. Hi, and welcome back. Have you ever wondered the compatibility between you and your partner? Or, what was your relationship with your child going to be based on your star signs? Possibly you saw a boss where you wondered why he or she processed things or did things the way that they did, as maybe it didn't make sense to you. Or you had a friend that dealt with situations differently than you would have. Now, these things I find super fascinating. It's the whole idea of human behavior. And I think we can use these tools like Myers Briggs or Enneagram, love languages, the Big Five, human design, star signs. We can use these as tools to start to understand the differences in human behavior, how we are, and how that's different from others. Now, I think the key word here is different, because I think that's what we're seeing in all of these character analysis tools, is that we are all different. And it doesn't matter if that difference comes from our character or whether it comes from the life that we've lived, the people we've been surrounded by, our family, our society, culture, or our experiences. The fact is that we are all different. Now, what this makes me wonder is that how can we take all of these different kids and put them in a classroom together and expect them to learn and thrive in the same way? And I don't think that's possible. I think we need to, in education, start adapting and personalizing the learning, because we're different. We're different human beings. I don't know whether these changes in education are going to happen in, let's say, our lifetime or their lifetime. I was watching a podcast the other day on implementation science, and what they were talking about was this idea of how long it takes for actual big organizations, so whether it's big business or government, so let's say education system, healthcare system, it takes these big organizations approximately 17 years to make a 14% change, which to me is shocking. And I think that supports the fact that these changes aren't going to happen in our lifetime. And while that may feel like sad news, I get it, I also think this is an opportunity for us as parents to bring these ideas into our families. And I'd like to share with you how. I'd like to share with you today how we can use a character analysis in setting up our homeschooling, unschooling, self-directed learning, and creating the right environment to thrive. So the point is, we're all different, right? So when we do a character analysis like Myers Briggs, we can connect it to our learning environment. And I read a great article about connecting those two ideas. What type we are as a Myers Briggs, and what type of learning environment would we thrive. So I will put that link below. But before we go any further, I'd like to talk for just a quick second about Myers Briggs if you don't know about it. It is a character analysis tool, and you can go to the 16personalities.com website. I'll put, again, the link below, and you can do a character analysis. What it'll give you then is the 4 letters of your type, and it'll give you some background into ways that you can grow, careers, relationships, some basic ideas and concepts about how you process things and where you thrive. So of those 4 letters, if you're not familiar with Myers Briggs, I'm just going to go into a very brief description of the letters, but you can, again, look at their website for more information. I'm not affiliated in any way. It's been a website that I have shared and used and done with friends and done with kids multiple times over. Anyway, 4 letters. The first one is an E or an I, so it's introverted or extroverted. So introverted is you tend to process things more internally. You need more time by yourself, as opposed to being in a group or having discussion. It doesn't necessarily mean, like we typically think of introverted as shy and extroverted as outgoing, and that's not how it is here. It's more what energizes you. So an introverted person would be more energized by time alone, processing things, thinking through things, whereas an extroverted person tends to process things more, maybe in discussion with a group. And they also like to kind of have multiple things kind of going on that helps them to process. The second letter is an N or an S. So N is for intuitive, S is for sensing. So intuitive is more big picture concept, seeing how things connect, whereas sensing is more dealing with concrete facts. They're more of like a realist, really like facts and figures, that type of thing. The third letter is either thinking or feeling, a T or an F. So thinking is you're processing more analytical. So, what makes sense to you, again, kind of logical structure, that type of thing. Whereas feeling is more empathetic, a little bit more warm, really basing on values and how you feel, beliefs, that type of thing. And the final letter is either a J or a P. So J is for judging, P is for perceiving. So judging likes to do things in a more structured way, likes to have set goals, like to know how they're getting there, timelines, that type of thing. Whereas a P, perceiving, is a little bit more, likes to go with the flow, spontaneity, likes things to change, doesn't like to get stuck into a specific schedule. And obviously, a couple points to note on this is that there's a full spectrum, right? So let's say extroverted and introverted, you could be fully one way, fully the other way, and anywhere in between. You could be 50-50 introverted, extroverted. So I think another thing to remember when it comes to these type of character analysis tools is not putting yourself or your child into a box, like this is your character and that's it. That's not how it works, but I'm saying to use it as a tool, as a starting point for discussion, as a starting point to say, what can I do? What would be a good way for me to set this up so I can really thrive and do it in a way that works for me? Okay, so there's the Myers Briggs that you can find out your character type. Then there's the article that is connecting both the Myers Briggs and the learning environment, which I will also put in the comments, in the information down below. So you can start to see what can you do in a learning environment. Like I said, homeschooling, unschooling, self-directed learning. What ways can I shape the environment to suit my child? Even if it's not a learning environment, how can I shape my home environment so this child can thrive and learn these things about themselves, develop their own sense of self? I would also recommend that if you haven't done the Myers Briggs character analysis, I would suggest you do it with your child. I think you might be surprised how they answer things. You might have a perception of how your child, what your child thinks or feels or does or doesn't do. Going through that step by step often gives you a lot of insight in itself. So doing these two things, the character analysis, seeing the link to learning environments, you start to see, does a child want more of an open-ended or more of a structured environment? Do they want more competition or collaboration? Do they want to work independently? Do they want to work as a group? Do they want to talk about abstract ideas, or do they really want to see the facts and the figures? And it's these things that really help us to develop an environment that allows them to thrive. So let me give you a quick example of how this has been in our family. So my daughter is an INTP, which is she processes things more on her own. She needs quite a bit of alone time to sort through and process things. She likes to talk about big ideas and concepts, and she is stifled by too much structure, so she likes more opportunity to kind of flow and move through things in a very natural way, which has lent itself to a unschooling or self-directed environment. I myself am an ENTJ. I process things more in discussion or debate. I also think about big concepts, ideas, and how they connect, but I try to find the logic in it. I like to be structured and organized, and I want lists and timelines. And so you can already see between the two of us how that's going to work, right? Where is it going to work and where isn't it going to work? We can, my daughter and I, sit for 3-4 hours talking about big ideas and concepts and what that means. But if we're going to work together on something, we then would probably need then to separate it into tasks and allow each person to process it in their own way. You know, we both work well alone, so she, let's say, would need time to process it on her own, work on her own in a flowing kind of natural rhythm that she could find on her own. I, on the other hand, would take that task or job and I would make timelines and checklists, and I would organize what that would look like. So there's ways that we can work together. There's ways also that we don't work well together. If I get too structured and particular and logic, it stifles her creativity and flow because I want efficiency and details, right? And if and vice versa, if I'm in her flow, creative, kind of natural way, I'm stifled because I want timelines, deadlines, structure. So you can see then how knowing this allows us to set up an environment that works well for both of us. We can start to see, where am I as a parent able to help and step in? Where will I stifle her? Where might I need to bring somebody else in to help us in the learning journey? Having more awareness of ourselves and our children having more awareness of themselves really just leads to a better understanding within the family and a better understanding of how we can create an environment that works well for everyone. I had to learn that my way wasn't necessarily the right way, but it was right for me. And my job as a parent is to help them, our children, find ways that optimizes their learning, that an environment that they can thrive and feel good in. So I hope this helps you in some way setting on how to set up your homeschooling, unschooling, or self-directed environment. I'd love for you to take a look at the links below, and please, if you have any insights, comments, examples, what's happened for you and your family, please share them in the comments down below. While you're here, please click the subscribe button and the little bell so you are notified when the next video arrives. Thanks for joining me here. I'm Janine from Remindful Life. Until next time.